Today, we're jumping into one of biochemistry's most fascinating puzzles, enantiomers. These are the mirror image molecules that play a massive role, not just in the world around us, but inside our own bodies.
So let's just kick things off with the central mystery, right? Picture this. You have two molecules, they've got the exact same chemical formula, same atoms, all connected in the exact same order, but somehow your body can use one for energy, while the other one, it might as well not even be there. How is that even possible?
Well, the answer is both beautifully simple and incredibly profound. It all comes down to handedness. Just look at your own hands for a second. They're mirror images of each other, right? Same parts, a thumb, 4 fingers, but you can't lay your left hand perfectly flat on top of your right. They're what we call non-superimposable mirror images. And as we're about to see, molecules can be exactly the same way.
And that brings us to the official term, enantiomers. They're a type of stereoisomer, which just means molecules that are perfect, non-superimposable mirror images. This usually happens when you have a central carbon atom bonded to 4 different things. We call that a chiral center. So the difference isn't what they're made of, but how they're arranged in 3D space.
A classic, perfect example of this is D-glucose and L-glucose. They have the same formula, but you can see they're structured as perfect mirror images. In D-glucose, this one key hydroxyl group points to the right. In its twin, L-glucose, that same group points to the left. That one little flip, it changes absolutely everything.
Now you might be thinking, okay, so what? What's the big deal if they're just mirror images? Well, what makes enantiomers so tricky and so interesting is that almost all of their physical properties are identical. Same chemical formula, same connections between atoms, they even have the same melting point and the same solubility. You can't just separate them with simple lab techniques.
Which, leads to the obvious next question. If they are so similar in so many ways, how on earth do chemists, or our own bodies for that matter, tell them apart? There has to be some property that's different.
And there is. The key difference is this really fascinating property called optical activity. When you shine a special kind of light, called plane polarized light, through a solution of one enantiomer, it will actually rotate the plane of that light. In its mirror image twin, it'll rotate that light by the exact same amount, just in the opposite direction. It's like their unique fingerprint.
We've got names for these rotations, of course. A molecule that rotates light to the right or clockwise is called dextrorotatory, and we give it a little plus sign. One that rotates light to the left or counterclockwise is levorotatory, and it gets a minus sign. So one enantiomer will always be plus, and its mirror image will always be minus.
Okay, now here is a super crucial point that trips a lot of people up. The D and L labels we saw with glucose, they are totally separate from the plus and minus labels for optical activity. The D/L system is all about the molecule's 3D structure compared to a standard reference molecule. The plus/minus system is only about which way it rotates light. You can easily have a D- molecule or an L+ one. They're two different systems describing two different things.
All right, so we've covered the chemistry. Now for the really big question. Why does any of this matter inside our own bodies?
This quote right here just nails it. Our bodies are incredibly specific. The enzyme machinery in our cells is built to handle the D series of sugars. It's like a factory that's tooled for only one specific type of part. Our entire metabolism is designed for D sugars and D sugars only.
The absolute best analogy for this is a lock and a key. An enzyme has a very specific 3-dimensional active site. That's the lock. A molecule like glucose is the key. And just like the key to your front door won't fit in the lock if you try to put it in backward, a left-handed molecular key, like L-glucose, simply will not fit into the right-handed lock of your enzymes. It just doesn't work. So let's bring it all the way back to our original mystery. D-glucose is the sugar fuel of life because it's the right-handed key that fits perfectly into our metabolic machinery. L-glucose, its perfect mirror image, is the wrong key. It just floats on by. Our body treats it like a total stranger. And what's really wild is that this is a rule across biology. Our bodies use D sugars, but when it comes to the building blocks of proteins, our amino acids, they exclusively use the L form.
To really nail this all down, let's quickly zoom out and put enantiomers in their proper place within the family of related isomers. Getting these terms straight is super important.
This table breaks it down beautifully. Enantiomers, as we now know, are perfect mirror images. They differ at all their chiral or handed centers. But then you have epimers. Think of them like twins that have just one different feature. They differ at only one specific chiral center. And finally, you have anomers, which are a special case that happens when a sugar molecule closes up into a ring shape.
And here's a perfect example of that.
Glucose and galactose are stereoisomers, but they are not enantiomers. They are C4 epimers. They're almost identical, except for the orientation of that little OH group at the fourth carbon. So they're super closely related, but they are not mirror images.
So let's just end this section with the simplest possible takeaway. If you remember one thing, make it this. Enantiomers are the entire mirror image. Epimers have just one piece flipped. That distinction separates a molecular twin from a very, very close cousin. And that brings us to one final, kind of mind-bending thought. The fact that life on this planet overwhelmingly chose D sugars for energy and L amino acids for proteins. Well, that's one of biology's deepest mysteries. Chemically, either hand should have worked just fine. So what event, billions of years ago, set life on such a specific handed path? It's a huge question that connects the simple molecular twist to the very origins of, well, everything.